I felt so happy. I gave Brandy a hug on my way down the stairs. She stared at me as if I truly were crazy. Humming loudly, I made my way out the kitchen door and started across the yard to Anne's house. Everything looked so beautiful to me. The grass, the trees, the spring flowers, the sun setting behind the trees. What a day. What a beautiful, perfect, normal day. And then halfway across Anne's lawn, I stopped. I crouched down on the grass, and I laid the biggest egg you ever saw. R.L. Stein, I think we need some answers. So, that brings me to Goosebumps. Egg Monsters from Mars. I'm sure plenty of you have read this book before, if you have clicked on this video anyway. So, what I have to say about this book is this cover has always attracted me as a child. I just thought the cover is so cool. I mean, just look at that. It is just very interesting. Just one of my favorite that Tim Jacobus did. It's just very like sci-fi, wacky, kind of crazy horror, and that's kind of what I'm into. The vintage 50s before that, even horror movies, So when I finally read this book, I was excited to read it all the way through, and I will tell you, the book paints a complete different picture than what I originally thought it would. I mean, I love this cover so much that I even made a custom mouse pad. Let me hold it up. Yeah, I made this because I love the cover so much. I thought it was just too awesome not to do. I'm sure some of you agree. Anyway, the main purpose of this video is, how did this kid lay the egg? How could this happen? So the book starts at a sister's birthday party. Dana is the kid. Interesting name for a child. Anyway, he went to his sister's birthday party because it was at the house, and they decided that they were going to have an egg hunt because his sister loved hunting for eggs. I've not heard of an egg hunt before in one of his books. Okay. Anyway, they are going looking for eggs and stuff. Dana stumbles upon a very interesting egg. This egg, of course. It's a weird, green, veiny egg, He doesn't really understand what it is. It looks very strange to him. He basically just forgets about the egg hunt and just takes his egg in, not knowing whether it's for the hunt or not, but thinks it's probably not. And, where does he put it? He puts it inside of his sock drawer. And whenever he gets up out of the bed to open up his sock drawer, he sees they're covered in a gooey yellow substance. It's the eggs, of course. Well, he basically travels all around with his egg to his friend's house and things like that. And it's this weird living egg monster creature, that we saw in the cover. And he eventually finds himself at a scientist lab. I don't remember the name of it specifically, if it was even mentioned, but the scientist in there, his name is Dr. Gray. He goes to show this egg monster to him. And apparently they came from Mars, just like the book says. And the scientist won't let the boy leave, and basically traps him inside of a room with the eggs. And because there are other eggs in this book. Yeah, he just found one of the eggs, but basically the scientist was surprised that he found another one because he was already doing tests and stuff on the egg monsters. Have been multiple that came out of space one day or whatever, so the scientist gathered up a bunch of them, and now here's a new addition. So he puts him in the room with these other eggs that Dana didn't know were even there until he came here. And the scientist is evil, and it's cold in the room. And he won't turn up the temperature, of course, because the egg creatures have to be in a cold environment. If it's too hot, they'll melt or they'll perish. Well, it's too cold for Dana as a living human, It's too cold for a living human. That's whenever a very interesting thing occurs that I think leads to the conclusion or the twist of this story. Felt it throbbing, pulsing, dozens of eggy monsters all pressed together, alive, a living sheet of egg creatures, covering me. I took a deep breath and held it as the heavy, warm carpet pressed itself against my chin. My arms and legs were pinned to the floor. I couldn't squirm away. I couldn't move. To my surprise, the egg carpet stopped under my chin. I let out a long whoosh of air and waited. Had it really stopped? Yes. It didn't crawl over my head. It rested heavily on top of me, throbbing steadily as if it had 24 heartbeats. So warm. I felt so warm beneath it, almost cozy. I let out a sigh. For the first time, I had stopped shivering. My hands and feet were no longer frozen. No chills ran down my back. So, these egg creatures, they're slimy, right? Well, what else is slimy, could we say, in reality? Well, there's a lot of things, of course. One thing I have thought of was something like a lotion. What do we do with lotion? What is it? It's moisturizer, sure. It goes into your skin. It basically seeps into your skin, Same thing with sunscreen or, multiple other substances in this world. Now, there are theories, of course, that these eggs did something else to him, which I surely hope is not true. Nor do I think is true. I mean, obviously, this is a children's book, so it cannot be mentioned explicitly, my bad. Nor can he even, try to have just a little tidbit of what may have occurred. If it's an adult theme, Well, I don't think he was touched badly by these eggs, if you want to say. He felt comfortable with them. He felt that they were helping him. And they were. But they were slimy. Well, the slime, this ooze from these eggs, seeped into his skin while he was there, sleeping underneath the eggs while they were keeping him warm. Did they plan to keep him warm? Did they want him to survive? Well, here's the thing. Why not? Why wouldn't they want him to be alive? Not only was he not aggressive towards them, but as we heard at the end of the book, he laid the biggest egg you ever saw. That egg was another one of these creatures. Dana birthed one of these creatures, basically. A male birthed one of these creatures. Very interesting. As it is usually the female who will reproduce, give birth in the animal kingdom. Well, Dana is the one who did it this time. He birthed this creature at the end of the book. And how did he even get this ability? Well, I believe the slime, like I said, the slime had oozed into his skin. And that, I don't know the science behind it, per se, But something about the slime, when it entered into his body, went into his bloodstream, it changed some DNA or something within this boy, and it gave him the ability to, like I said, birth one of these creatures. So I believe whenever he did lay this egg, that another creature came out of this egg. Obviously not in the book, nor is there a sequel. Could there be a sequel? Well, yes, of course there could be. Will there ever be a sequel? It's now 2026. This was from the 90s. I would say probably not. Nor is this even one of the most iconic books, you know? But I think people need to read this one more often and think about it. No, Dana was not touched badly, but his DNA was altered. He was given this special ability to birth more of these creatures. But that also lends to the theory, how are these eggs a thing? Do Martians exist in Mars, or on Mars in the Goosebumps world? Do these egg monsters use these Martians as a reproductive system or host that birth more of these eggs? And can a woman birth one of these rather than a male? I'm sure they could. And if a woman births one of these eggs, which hole does it come from? Which hole does it come out? I don't know. These are thoughts to be had. These are thoughts to be thought about. And I think you should too. So keep that in mind. And whenever you read a twist in one of these Goosebumps books, don't just take it as just any other twist or any other just fantasy, the whim of R.L. Stine to just write something fantastic. These endings mean something, and these endings need to explore more. Bela, what do you think? Okay, thank you. Well, you heard it from Bela. He agrees with me.